Hey guys, Ash here, Rayshot Legends. Welcome to the video. Sending some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you're going through something and you need them out there today. Is April O'Neil and Shredder trash? Are these champions trash? We know the Turtles are all good, right? Some of them may be a little bit better than others, but I think all four of the actual Ninja Turtles are really solid inside the game. But what about April and Shredder today? We hope to answer that question, because even though I don't have Leo and I don't have Raffi, I do have Donnie, Mikey, April, and Shredder. I actually pulled Shredder, or I got Shredder from the tournament. I kind of lucked out. I had kind of an easy group, so I was able to get it, and I didn't even snipe or anything like that. So, or get it meaning Shredder, right? So, obviously, you guys know I'm a freaking nostalgia sucker for these champions. I'm really excited to have Shredder on my account, even though I'll be real with you guys, going into this video, before I had Shredder and April for that matter, I wasn't a huge fan of either of their kits on paper. So what I want to do, I'm going to have timestamps. I'm going to split this. Instead of having a guide on Shredder and a guide on April, sharing my initial impressions and what I think, or who I think can benefit from these champions, especially with the April event, the Ace Reporter Titan event going on right now, I figured I'd give a mini review for both these champions, timestamps if you only care about one of them. In today's video, I'll share my builds, my masteries, and my final thoughts on all these champions as well. We'll play them together at the end of going through both of their kits in their builds. So without further ado, quickly let's talk about both the champions, what they have to offer. April has a very, very interesting and unique kit in the game. She's pretty fast, 108 base speed. She has speed in arena battles, and she brings a turn meter boost, so she's a viable go-first candidate for an arena team. Starting your turn out with a turn meter boost and an increased accuracy with the extra turn, which allows her to go into the nullify and seal debuff, is a very powerful combination, okay? She also has a bunch of CC debuffs. They're random on her A1. Really, really nasty A1 ability, honestly. 75% chance to place one of the stronger debuffs, along with a perfect veil on herself on her A1. This means that she is veiled more often than not, right? Especially if you have ally attack on the same team around her. A lot of viability on this A1. Also the passive. Ace Reporter, right? This is on a 3-turn book down to a 2-turn cooldown. Decrease all enemies' turn meters by 10% whenever an enemy has their skills activated, right? Teams up on an ally attack, gains an extra turn, an instant turn, has their skill cooldowns decreased, or gets the shield value increased, gets their destroyed HP restored, has their HP swapped by allies, or evades an enemy skill, or has their turn meter equalized, or has their HP balanced from a skill. Occurs once per skill. If there are multiple enemy champions on the team with this skill, only one will activate. So what does this mean? This is not on a cooldown. This just happens all the time. The active effect is on the 2-turn cooldown, so this is a really nice move. Granted, you know, it's not like, I don't know, a Volcanos or something, or a NEAL, where it's turn meter increase and buffs, right? Those are the two big things. Healing as well, right? That it would just be activating all over the place, right? This doesn't have those things, but it has like everything else, right? Every other kind of ancillary thing, but you put them all together, aggregate them all, and this procs more than you think it would, at least more than I thought it would, right? So a very unique and a constant kind of churning of turn meter decrease on the enemy team. Now the active effect, again, 3 book down to a 2-turn cooldown. Whenever an enemy's remove, transfer, or decrease the duration of any debuff to 0, decrease the turn meter of all enemies by 25%. And again, that can happen 1 out of every 2 turns. All right, so that's our kit, guys. You put it all together, it's very interesting. It doesn't jump out the page as super OP, but definitely jumps out the page as super unique. So let me show you the build on April. I'll show you the masteries, and then we'll switch over to Shredder, and then we'll play them both together in a few areas of the game. I should mention, too, I had a whole video recorded last week about the Fire Knight Shield and Nullify, right? So I'm not sure at the time of this recording, at least, I haven't heard any official messaging, but we just had a major patch in the game, and then there was actually, like, they took the game down again for another little maintenance patch. I thought for sure they were going to fix April. They even had a list of 100 bug fixes. April wasn't on there. At the time of this recording, which is a day before it goes live, right? A little bit less than 24 hours before you're seeing it. It still works, meaning that Nullify, I'll show you guys, again, in case you missed the original video, Nullify has these crazy impacts on bosses. It kind of reminds me of Enfeeble and some ways, where initially when we enfeebled with a Marius or an Androck or whatever, it really neutralized everything about bosses, right? It landed on bosses that they couldn't accomplish critical hits, thus not placing debuffs, yada, yada, yada. Nullify is even weirder because basically some bosses just glitch out. It has impacts on Ice Golem, it has massive impacts on Fire Knight as well, but it's worth discussing what Nullify actually is. Nullify prevents this champion from activating skills, joining ally attacks, gaining instant or extra turns, reducing skill cooldowns, increased shield value, restoring destroyed HP, swapping or balancing HP, evading effects, and having their turn meter equalized. So, it's very similar to her passive, essentially, right? It prevents champions from doing that on the Nullify. I will say, from activating skills is misleading or just wrong. You guys can choose, because you can certainly activate any of your skills. It's not like you're under a... Nullify doesn't act as a block active skills or a block passive skills. It just prevents a champion from doing all the things I just listed, and April's the only champion in the game with that ability. Also, she has a 50% chance when booked of instantly activating this ability, Exclusive Scoop, on an enemy whenever they gain an extra turn or an instant turn, okay? So very interesting there as well. All right, how do we have her built here, guys? We have her built in Supersonic, in speed. I have a couple pinpoint just for the speed and the accuracy for that matter. And I have one feral for more accuracy on her. Just because she has increased accuracy doesn't mean you want to ignore it, especially in PvP. So what are stat priorities on her? I have a speed. She is a perfect candidate for your best speed gear if you want to use her as a pure turn meter booster with her aura and whatnot. Granted, I don't have her awakened. Not many players do right now, so, you know, you'd really like an intimidating presence. That's probably the blessing that I would go with on her. But we want her really fast, right? Because we want to set up whoever else is on the team with... I'm going to be running a Fabian, for example, alongside her, also in supersonic gear. So if we don't go first, we can cut in line with both April and with Fabian, which is a great setup for a bunch of different champions, not just Fabians, with that increased accuracy, the extra turn, some control. It's really, you know, reminiscent echoes of a Seeker, right? Where you start with a turn meter boost, and then you go into a control ability all before the opponent even, you know, feasibly takes a turn if she goes first, right? So anyway, I like speed or supersonic gear on her. Supersonic 4-piece, one of the strongest sets in the game, fills this champion's turn meter by 2% for each buff on each enemy. Obviously, that can snowball really quickly. We can cut in line and win the battle. I have her pretty fast, 369 speed, 479 on the accuracy. I'd like the accuracy to be even higher in a perfect world, but we do have the increased accuracy that we'll benefit from, obviously, on her as well before we go into the debuff, so she'll always have that on her. For masteries, I came down, I went Eagle Eye. I really want Retribution and Deterrence on April because she has those counterattacks where she's placing a freaking CC debuff. Like, that is money. Moreover, she's refreshing her perfect veil on herself. That's really good A1 ability. I went down, I picked up Cycle of Magic, the accuracy masteries, but most importantly, again, Master Hexer, it's notable that Master Hexer can proc on the Nullify debuff as well as the Seal, right? So won't work with her A1, but certainly with her A2. And again, I'm going with the Eagle Eye. All right, guys, Wand of Submission is going to be the surprise, the best relic for April O'Neil, right? You can shoot those sheeps back to the opponent or any other CC debuff for that matter. Moreover, we get some speed, a little bit more survivability. I have HP flat stat on the chest. It's not ideal, but that's why you always roll up your flat stats, ladies and gentlemen, especially if it's a mythical speed set, because you could get a trip roll or a quad roll in this case, right? I have crit rate on the gauntlets, but in a perfect world, I wouldn't be building her for damage. I'd be having more survivability there, but I wanted her fast, so I went with the gear that I had available to me. Okay, that is her entire build. Let's switch over quickly and talk about Shredder, and then we'll see them both in action together. Shredder looks so freaking BA, man. He looks so cool, dude. There's something about playing Shredder now that I have him on my account. It's awesome, man. It's awesome. I just wish they had Krang and, you know, that dude, that big dude with a brain in his belly.
Holy guacamole!
Nothing can stop the almighty Krang.
Come on, man. There's so many good characters from that IP. Anyway, I digress. He's super tanky. The one thing you need to know about Shredder is he's almost Taurus level of hard to kill. Not just because of his base tankiness, 23k HP, but because of his passive. Let's just start there. Decreases all incoming damage by 30%. The damage is split amongst all allies, okay? Increase this champion's damage dealt by 15 for each dead ally. I would not plan for that, but certainly worth noting. Whenever this champion loses 20% of his max HP in one attack, he has a 100% chance to evade the next attack. When the guaranteed evade activates, place a perfect veil on this champion for 2 turns, and then a 50% chance of placing a true fear on all enemies that can't be resisted. What a busted passive. That is a busted passive, guys. Talk about survivability. The evade, 100% evade is nuts. I fell in love with the evade, especially on a passive when Loki was introduced to the game, and he has it and then some with this ability. That's nasty. Dimensional Tyrant. When you combine the passive and the active and what it means to a tanky champion with this kit, it makes him a nuisance to deal with. Triple hitter on the A1, each hit escalates. So you have ignore defense, the second, third hits, you'll deal extra crit damage respectively. On the A2, it's an AoE, 2-time hitter on a 3-turn cooldown. Doesn't hit as hard as his A3, but each hit destroys enemies' defense by 5%, up to 30%. This is beautiful. Some built-in kind of cruelty mechanic in Shredder's kit, right? Each hit also increases this champion's max HP by 5%, up to 30%. So now he's even tankier and also doing more damage because he's an HP-based damage dealer as well. Man, it's really an interesting kit. Beautiful synergy here. The only disappointment on Shredder is his multipliers. Anyway, each hit has a 100% chance to place a leech for 2 turns, can't be resisted. This champion's under a veil or perfect veil, which we spoke about on his passive. His A3 hits harder, so 4-turn cooldown. This is a true ninjutsu. Attacks all enemies before attacking, steals all buffs from a target enemy. This effect can't be resisted. He's under a veil or perfect veil. Fills his champion's turn meter by 15% for each buff stolen. That's really nice. Ignore 15% of each target's defense, as well as shield and block damage, which is money in this meta. Block damage is absolutely everywhere. If this champion is with Nyresia, or Naime, excuse me, Nyresia, with Naime, with Odins, with Nices, with Siegfrieds, and more and more block damage. It's nasty and it's everywhere in this game. We'll ignore 15% of target's defense as well as shield block damage. If he's under a veil or perfect veil, 30% ignore defense instead. All right, so that's his kit. He has HP in all battles by 33%. Really quickly, we got to pull up, when we talk about Shredder especially, we got to pull up those multipliers. Hell Hades gives him a 4 out of 5 overall score. Pretty good versatility grade here, right, as well. 4.5 out of 5 in the arena. I will admit to you guys, in end game live arena, I have not seen any Shredder. Consideration, though, that, people don't have the souls for him, the empowerment, stuff like that. He has a godlike damage rating on all of his abilities, which is noteworthy here. 0.16, but it's a 2-time hitter on the A2, a 0.27 on the A3 as well. I have not found the damage to be godlike. By the way, if you're curious, they give April O'Neil a 3.5 overall rating as well. Here is her her versatility scores. Dark Fae, Fire Knight, Spider Normal, right? And again, she actually has a legendary damage on her explosive scoop, so it's worth noting that, with a base attack of 1046 and that high of a multiplier, she can deal a little bit of damage, even though she's not a traditional damage dealer, but worth noting, especially if you're going up against her in the arena. Really quickly, here's the Shredder loadout here. We put him in, frankly, I just put him in Embry's gear. He is a bit light on the accuracy, but the cool thing about Shredder is a lot of his stuff a lot of his kit does not require accuracy. Some of it's conditional on the veils, but we still do want some accuracy on him because of that leech. Also, the buff steal if he's not under the veil, perfect veil. So I have a little bit on him, but he'll benefit from the increased accuracy of April O'Neil on the team anyway. I have him in Stone Skin and Lethal Gear. I have 1 pinpoint piece on him, just trying to pick up that accuracy when and where I can find it. HP percentage on the chest, speed on the boots. We have crit damage on the gauntlets as well. Again, we have a 4-piece Stone Skin and a 4-piece Lethal on him. Relic. I didn't put a relic on him, but by golly, I want to. I want to give him one of, if I have one available, I want to give this dude one of the, what is the Veil relic? Let me find it. I'll be right back. All right, here it is. Saint Xavier's Tribute. I'm going to put this on him. I don't know if it's the best relic on him. Obviously, mythical relics are going to be incredibly better. There's quite a few legendaries that you could prefer over this as well. You could even use the Last Laugh on Shredder if you wanted to, just to kind of play into that tankiness, make him even more difficult to kill. You could use Aspect of Siroth on him as well. Heck, Wand is good on everybody. It gives him more HP and more speed anyway, right? But let's go ahead with the Saint Xavier's. Something a little bit more niche here. It does give him attack, which he can't use at all, so maybe not the best one for him. Let's go ahead and upgrade it a little bit here. Well, let's upgrade it a lot a bit, you know, get that extra accuracy on him anyway. So this is going to give Shredder a 25% chance of placing a veil on himself for 1 turn at the end of his turn, okay? That chances increases, though, by 5% for each 15% HP lost. It's not a bad, usually it's on, you know, squishier damage dealers, but it's not a bad consideration for a Shredder as well, because a lot of his kit revolves around that Veil and Perfect Veil, and it just makes it even more difficult to kill. For masteries, we went down, we picked up a Helm Smasher as our tier 6 here. Again, getting those counterattacks. He has a strong A1, nice damage out of his A1, and we went down kind of a hybrid, I would say, between a PvE and a PvP nuker. Of course, we did end, though, on Helm Smasher for more ignore defense. See what kind of damage he can do here. Let's go ahead and start out both these champions, April and Shredder, in Fire Knights. I'm just throwing them on Fire Knight 2. This team could probably do, frankly, a harder level of Fire Knight, but I just want to show you, in case you missed the Nullify, I want to show you that, and I also want to show you Shredder. Shredder's going to be really solid. Let's slow it down, and you can see him on his first AoE. Actually, I'm going to slow it way down. All right, I want to show you the damage of the A3 here, right? Kind of a cool mechanic, right? He almost like winds up in the pitch, you know, got that kind of flavor to it. We'll see his A2 in just a moment here as well. But Shredder's great for Fire Knight, you know, having that triple hitter. Look at that. Look at that AoE. Did you see the animation? Man, they nailed it with the animations. Is he, you know, an S-tier champion? One could argue against that for sure. But does he have S-tier aesthetics? Yes. Yes. Look at that A1. Pretty solid, right? Let's go ahead. You can see he's great with Lady Mikage because he's going to be joining in with his really hard-hitting A1 that escalates damage as well every time she goes in with her A1. So a sneaky pairing here is Lady Mikage and Shredder. So I'm just going to keep it on auto. Hopefully this team can just go in and immediately, you can see the Nullify and the Seal there from the A2. She can get back to that A2 really quickly because of that A3 April cycling ability, right? It really allows you to keep that Seal and that Nullify up on the boss or whomever you're attacking with close to 100% uptime because of the extra turn mechanic on her A3 as well. So here we go, Shredder going in. Just with Mikage, basically. Now, I want to go ahead. Is she going to put that Nullify? Yes, she is. So check this out. This is the glitch, right? I'm just going to A1 cycle into the Fire Knight here. You can tell it's a glitch because of, I mean, how the Fire Knight looks, right? However, it'd be cool to have a new debuff that actually did something really noteworthy, right? I kind of kid. I'm not even going to use the decreased speed because I actually want him to take a turn so you guys can see. And you can see the Nullify got its extension increased as well. Let's keep going in here. I'm just going to keep A1. Shredder's A1. You can see this is solid damage. Solid damage. Let's go Shredder's A2 here. Okay. About the same as A1 in terms of against a single target. And there it is. You can see he's glitching out right now. He's doing nothing. There it is. That's the Nullify. The power of Nullify. Doesn't seem to be as intended. I was actually shocked, though. I'm not going to lie, as I alluded to earlier, that Plarium didn't go in there and fix that, you know? Like, I don't know. They've known about it for a while, you know? I've had a video out on it for a week, but I'm sure other creators or community members have probably mentioned it, right? But yeah, Nullify just shuts down bosses. Really cool. Obviously not really as intended. So I just want to be clear to you guys. I would not go for April for this mechanic because it's very, very likely that, hey, by the time this video goes live even, they may have fixed that. But knowing Plarium, with all due respect, Plarium, maybe it could be 5 months before they fix it too. It could be the next update, who knows, or a couple months. Anyway, let's go ahead. I have a video coming out in a couple days. I have 2 bangers, I think, right? I have a Ninja Turtle. I want to do a quick damage check in Ice Golem. Then we're gonna run to the arena with these 2 champions too. So you'll see that Shredder shreds. He deals some big boy damage when you add up the prowess of the ability to have 2 strong AoEs, right, in his kit. So that's gonna add up a lot. And I love the leash there too, right? I mean, just something about the visceral, you almost get that visceral feeling from the mechanics and the aesthetics of those AoEs. But anyway, as I was saying, crap, what was I saying? Oh, banger videos coming out. I have a video maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after, maybe in 2 days, of all Ninja Turtle teams. 6 Ninja Turtles. You guys are going to love it. You guys are going to love it. 6 Ninja Turtles, 3 Leonardos. Oh, it's the wildest video I've done in a long, long time. I also have a video where I asked AI, basically, but I really did a lot of prompt work on this one. I fed all the data ever in Raid history in terms of all the updates the game's ever experienced. And I basically asked it to predict the next update, and what it predicted, I can't wait to share with you guys because it seems awesome, and it seems like it's totally what's coming. Like, I went into the video not expecting it to be like, you know, okay, whatever. Look at April's A1. You know, we're CCing with the A1, we're nullifying, we're sealing. I mean, nullify and seal aren't the strongest debuffs in the game, but, you know, you add them up and they can have a decent effect, especially in the arena. But a lot of PvE, the boss is just going to be immune to, either immune or it's not going to have an impact on them anyway, right? So you can see Shredder is shredded and April's dead. That's great. No reviver on the team, but we do have Lydia on the team, so hopefully we can pick her right back up here. We have Vogoth as a healer, and I think this team can probably get the job done here. We have Artak as our burner too. So let me come back to you guys towards the end of this battle. We'll take a look at the total damage, especially Shredder compared to Artak, and then we'll go into the arena. Be right back. All right, guys, almost at the end of this battle. We did pick up April as well. Time wasn't too bad. Vogoth, obviously, with a lot of healing. We have Shredder, though, man, just, you know, carrying the brunt of the damage for the squad, which, again, is impressive, especially considering he doesn't have empowerment or have awakenings. Let me show you the empowerment champions for both of these, Shredder and April. So Shredder is, unfortunately, Rio Bone Spear. That sucks. Sucks having to sacrifice a champion who's arguably better for a Shredder empowerment. Leo, by the way, is Shu Zen. That sucks too. Donnie is Draco, a little bit more palatable. And then Ralph is Contra, okay. Mikey is Richtoff. And April is Corvus the Corruptor, the Sacred Order poisoner with a big nose. All right, guys, let's go into the arena. So here we are on reset day, guys. I'll go against some tough teams, though, or at least the toughest teams that I can find here. So the squad that we are going to run is this one right here. So the most important thing, obviously, is that we have April going first so we can turn meter boost and set up Fabian and the rest of the team. So we have April, as I showed you guys earlier, at 369 speed, and we have Fabian going right behind her at 364. Now, Fabian has the temporal chains and supersonic. You already know the build of April. We don't have a reviver, but we do have Naime on the squad for the block damage to buy us some time here, and then Shredder to take care of business and nuke down the opponent. So let's go ahead and go against this team here and see what we can do. We're going to start out with block damage protected on 2 out of the 4 champions on the team. We're going to get that increased accuracy, and now we're going to be able to take our extra turn and nullify somebody, as well as steal all bust from them on that A2 ability. So I'm going to look at turn meter here. I'm actually going to go ahead and go for Shu Zen. I'm going to steal that shield, and I'm going to nullify and take care of her. But we're also turn meter boosted the rest of the team, and what do you know? We're already back to the A1 ability of April, and, you know, Shredder and Naime haven't even taken a turn yet. This is a great opportunity here because with our A1, we can go ahead and try to CC somebody on the enemy team. Didn't work out there, but, you know, we got a shot. We're going to go in with a nice big shield. And now it's Shredder time. So we're going to go in with the A3 ability. The A2, again, is nice, but the A3 hits a little bit harder, and there it is. Some pretty good damage there on Shredder. Granted, the gear is pretty good on Shredder, too. But let's go ahead and pick off the biggest threat in Rhodos there. And now we just got to survive Taurus, which shouldn't be that hard to do given the team that we have. So we can go on full auto from here on out. So pretty effective, right? Now, I want you guys to pay attention as well to April's passive triggering because, you know, sometimes you just miss it, frankly, with April. And I think a lot of players who have April so far are somewhat disenfranchised by her because it is, I'm just going to be real with you guys, it can be a little tough to notice those passives proccing, those enemy turn meter reductions and whatnot. Anyway, we're going to go in with the A3 of April. And now, again, we can steal one of these block damages. We can start putting in work on Marichka right away with that A2 ability. It's nice synergy. She's not a bad champion. I certainly wouldn't call April S tier or anything like that. But I will say that she's unique and she's pretty effective. Same thing with Shredder. Let me go ahead as we're kind of nearing, you know, somewhat the end of this video. Look at that petrification. Beautiful. Remove the she under block damage. Am I making that up? Let's go ahead and get that shield refreshed, kill Marichka, and kill the rest of them here. But as I turn things, we're already back to the A3 again, you know? And it's just really nice synergy in April's kit. I know she gets a lot of hate in the comments, too, whenever I mention her. I don't know if she's worth going for, you know, especially if you're short on resources. And we know there's a Leo event coming up. And God knows by the time this video goes live, you guys probably already know more than I do about it. But I can't say that deck is necessarily worth going for on April. I want to be clear to you guys, even though I am a fan of both April and Shredder, I don't think that either of these are, like, meta-defining champions, at least not at this point in the game. I don't think that you're at like some massive deficit or anything like that on your account if you pass up on either of these champions. I'm going to go for Marius here. I'm going to steal his buffs and nullify him and take 1A1 to the face. That was probably the wrong decision there. Let's just A1. And now let's protect the squad. So how do I rank these two champions? Are they as trashy as most players say they are? No, I don't think so, frankly. I don't think so. I think that both of them are really interesting. You know, I might be a little biased because of the IP. I'm just going to state my case to you guys. But I really do think that they're both really fun champions where, depending on where your account is, it always does depend, right? Everything is subjective in this game ultimately. But depending on where your account is, I think you can benefit from both these champions. I will say that April and NEAL feels a bit more niche, but you just don't know where the game is heading. You know, right now, she's the only champion in the game with Nullify, right? If you look at the champion list, it's just her, right? But remember when Hex came out? Hex was like the worst and most useless debuff in the history of the game. When these new champions come out with a niche or new debuff, you know, the debuffs could be worthless at first. They could buff the debuff, or they could add a boss or a future mechanic that actually makes Nullify an incredibly good thing to have on your account. So my mindset is, yeah, I like having a champion that's as unique as April, but right now, where the game stands right now, provided they fix the glitch in the buff, or the glitch in the Fire Knight, I don't think she's a must-have champion. I think she's probably like B tier, you know? Shredder is a little bit different. I think he has a little bit more to offer out the gate than April. That being said, he's not an elite HP-based nuker, not like an Embrys is. Obviously, Embrys is one of the best champions in the game, but we have like Embrys, Taurus, Narcissus, those type of champions. I feel like he's a bit short of all three of those champions, right? So I would give Shredder kind of a B plus as well. That being said, what Shredder has going for him is, man, he is tanky as all get up. You can make an argument he's even more tanky than Taurus, right? Which does make him unique, and I suspect that he'll have some areas in the game where he can shine over time as well. I suspect that I will actually be using him mostly in restrictive content such as faction wars and stuff like that, but he has a lot to offer in his kit. I don't think he's a game changer, but I think he's a serviceable and pretty cool champion. So there it is, guys. I don't think they're trash. I don't think they're S tier. I don't think they're A tier, but I think they're both pretty solid champions overall. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Again, timestamps, well, what do you need me to tell you? There's timestamps now. We're at the end of the video. Thank you for watching all the way till the end. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.